answer. Question.
Welcome to my YouTube channel, and for those who are new on this channel, my name is Lerato Selomani, but you can call me Miss Lee. And please, if you are new, kindly subscribe to the channel so that we can grow this family. And those who subscribe, thank you so much for watching all the videos and for subscribing. Like I said on my WhatsApp status that I need you to ask me questions, and a special thank you for the few that asked me questions. So this video is dedicated to get to know me. So most people, they know me on social media, some they know me at work. So yeah, now it's your time to get to know me better. So let's get into the questions. I typed them on my phone, by the way. So don't be surprised if I keep scrolling on my phone. So we have about 16 questions that I need to ask. That I need to answer to. So yeah, the first question, what makes you happy? So the one thing that makes me happy is family. Those who are close to me, they know that I'm family orientated. If my family is happy, then I'm happy. When they are sad, it affects me as well. So my happiness is relying more on family. So yeah, my family, the Selomanis, and my paternal and maternal family, you know, I love them all. So yeah, they make me happy. So the second question, who inspires you and why? That one is easy. It has to be my mom. This one goes to my mom, strictly to my mom. She is the greatest inspiration in my life. You know, growing in the streets of Hammanskraal, she had her own struggles and whatnot, but she managed to pull it together and raise us the way she did. She knew how. So looking at how I turned out, I will give her the credit. So she's one of the people who inspires me, like with everything that she does. So thank you to her. And the third question, what are your favorite ways of relaxing? For me to relax, sometimes I read. I have a whole lot of books that I read, and also I enjoy going out to different coffee spots. Like you've seen on my previous video, I've shared my favorite coffee spots, and I'll still share more on my upcoming videos. So yeah, I do that. And also to relax, I also visit my friends, hang around with friends from time to time when I have time. Yeah. So, but mainly it's going to coffee spots and reading books. And the fourth question, how do you handle stress? Stress, it depends what kind of stress. Sometimes I go to family to talk to family. I'm not big on therapy, but I'm not singling it out. But yes, you can go for therapy. But as for me, I have a very supportive family, and also my friends. They are always a phone call away. Whenever I feel stressed, I know I can call so and they will pick up the phone and we talk, and that helps me to deal with stress. So yeah, for the fifth question, what is the most important thing you want to achieve in your lifetime? The one thing that I want to achieve, other than me owning a whole lot of properties or whatnot, but is to be able to afford a loaf of bread. You know, waking up every morning to be able to provide for my daughter. That's the one thing that I want to achieve, consistently so. I want to wake up every single day and be able to put food on the table. No matter the price of bread, but I want to afford a loaf of bread. So that is all. And number 6, how do you stay true to yourself in various situations? I always refer to myself as an unconventional woman. You know, growing up in Hammanskraal, even now when people ask me where am I from, I always mention Hammanskraal because it's one area that made me who I am. And staying true to myself has everything to do with how I was brought up. I know where I come from. So even if you can put me in any province, I will never change who I am based on the circumstances around me. So most people will tell you that when I mention where I come from, like I said, I mention Hammanskraal. So Hammanskraal made me. Yes, I might be staying in Pretoria, in town or whatsoever, but that has nothing to do with who I am. Who I am is rooted in Hammanskraal. So my upbringing helped me to stay grounded. Question number 7, how do you handle failure? Failure, like I said on my previous video, that failure is a prerequisite of being great. I remember I once failed in standard 2. I'm old, so we used to call them standard 2. Right now they're saying it's grade 4. Yes, I failed, and in that class I used to have bullies. It was like my life was coming to an end. I started hating school. I didn't want to go to school. They would take my money and whatnot. So during that year, I failed. And for the first time in my life, I failed a grade. And I remember that December, I was so excited that I failed. And you can imagine being excited for failure. Most people didn't understand why I was so excited to fail grade 4. But something in me said, this is the time for you to have a brand new chapter, like to open a new chapter for yourself. I was so excited to meet new people for the next year, even though I didn't know whether I'll be bullied again or not. But for me, I was just looking forward to the next year. And voila, I met the most amazing bunch of people. And that's where I met my best friend. So even now, we're still friends after 30 years plus. So you see, I used that failure to change the trajectory of my future. So I needed to fail that year. Really, honestly, I needed to fail. Because most of the people in that class, they were way older than me. I was born in 83, and most of them were born in 81 or 70s. So they used to bully me a lot because it was a new school, new people, new environment, and new everything. So I really needed to fail. So like I'm saying, I use failure to go back to the drawing board, to see where I went wrong, to see where my plans derailed. Sometimes people, when they fail, they sit right there and say, no, I failed, then I'm leaving school. Yes, I failed in a marriage, then it means it's the end of the world. So for me, failure is a time to reset. It's a time to go back to the drawing board and see, to trace my steps back as to see where I went wrong or where I did well, and improve on whatever that I went wrong on. So that's the way I handle failure. And question number 8. What is something that you love to do but rarely get a chance to do? This one is traveling. For me, if it was according to me, I would travel almost every single month. But it's either I don't have money to travel, or I don't get a chance to travel, or perhaps it's because of poor planning. Like, for instance, I wanted to go to the Maldives on my 40th birthday. And I started thinking about this 10 years ago. When I turned 30, I told myself that, 2023, I'm going to Maldives, but look at me, I'm still here. So traveling is something that I really do and that I enjoy with all my heart. So I think for the next coming few years, I should be serious when it comes to planning my traveling and whatnot. So I enjoy traveling. I enjoy traveling with everything that I have. So that is something that I really, really, really do. Question number, where are we? I'm still missing out the questions. What are the most important moments in your life? Wow. The most important moment in my life was in 2016 when I graduated. Hearing my surname being called on that stage in front of my mom and dad, that was euphoric. It was like heaven on earth. I know most people, when they get married, they say their wedding day was the most important day, but that there's nothing wrong with that. But for me, it was when I heard my surname being called on that stage. Like, I still have a video, the way my family was screaming, the way they were so excited, just hearing Lerato Selomane, National Diploma in Safety Management. I will never forget that day. Yes, I graduated for the second time. I'll be graduating again for the third time next year. But that moment, I don't think there's any other moment that can top that one. If you are the first one to graduate in your family, you'd understand what I'm talking about. You'd understand how it feels like for this surname to be called on a stage whereby thousands of people are watching. And most importantly, both my parents were there to witness this important moment of my life. So I will say that was the most important moment in my life. My graduation day, 2016 September. I still remember the date. Question number 10. What do strangers think about you just by looking at you? Most people, when they meet me for the first time, when they interact with me for the first time, they think I have my life figured out. They think I don't have any stress. They think like, I'm this perfect person. But while in actual fact, I'm not perfect. Just like any other person, I make mistakes. So I've seen that most people, when I start unpacking certain things about my life, they will be like, wow, I thought you have everything figured out. Like the way they see me interact with my daughter, they feel like we don't have any upside downs. It's simply because I don't look like my problems. I don't look like my bank balance. I try by all means not to look like my problems. So I think that is something that as people we need to do. We should have our own smalanyana circle that we discuss things with. Not everyone must see that you are struggling. Not everybody must know that you are dealing with 1, 2, and 3. Yes, I do have issues that I'm dealing with, but those issues, they are not for the world to know. Unless you are in my circle, you will know that, okay, fine, she's lacking A, B, and C. So yeah, for me, that's one thing that people think that I'm perfect when they meet me for the first time. They think, oh no, this one does not even have a negative bank balance. What if I do have that? But it's just that I don't show it to the world that no, right now, my bank balance is on the low. So that's how people perceive me when they see me. Question number 11. What is your perspective on marriage or long life partner? And what is the most important aspect of a healthy relationship? This one is too deep. I think it's 3 questions in one. So I'll start with the first part. What is your perspective on marriage? Most of you know, if those who are new, who don't know me personally, you'd know that I'm not married. So for me, I believe that marriage is from God. And marriage is not something that should be forced into people. Marriage is not something that you wake up one day when you are bored, then you tell somebody that I want to marry you. Or maybe you look at your bank balance and you're like, no, I can pay lobola because I afford it. There's more into marriage than you affording the lobola, you being able to buy a house or build a house for the person you want to spend the rest of your life with. There's more into marriage than those things. And I've noticed that most of our generation, they are more interested in the idea of a wedding than a marriage. So I've heard that marriage is giving up the I for the we. Like, we are together in this. And for me, if I were to get married, I would marry somebody who's bringing 100 and I bring 100% into the marriage. No 50-50. I want him to come as a whole, as 100. And also, I would want somebody that we can sit down and discuss certain aspects about marriage. For instance, finances. How are we going to deal with finances? Most people now, they divorce not because the husband was cheating or the wife was cheating. They divorce simply because of finances. That one partner cannot deal with the issue of finances. It's either they are negligent when it comes to handling finances and all those things. So I will discuss finances. I will discuss how are we going to raise our kids, the naming of our kids, and religion versus tradition. You marry somebody who's into Christianity, or you marry somebody who's into amadlozi. You should be in a position that if your husband believes in amadlozi, when they go to what they call umsamo, you'll be able to go to that place, secret space for the family, not you criticizing it. But just imagine if now you start being dramatic when you enter into a marriage and you start seeing all these new things that, no, my husband, then all those things are surprising to you. They come as a surprise. So I feel that as partners, we need to sit down as to how do we want to handle this marriage thing. And the other thing is, people enter into marriage not knowing what the other person is expecting from them. Like growing up, most girls and boys, they have their own ideal husband and wife. But the question is, when they enter into marriage or before they enter into marriage, do they give themselves a chance to discuss with their partner that, you know what, growing up, I wanted my wife to handle herself this way, or I wanted this type of a family or not. I think that's where most marriages are failing, because it's like we are walking past each other. I have my ideal husband in my head. My husband also has his ideal wife in his head. And he sees me changing every single day. But while in actual fact, I'm not changing. I'm not in his head. I don't know exactly what kind of a wife he wants. So for me, marriage is giving up the I for the we. We come as a collective. We bring 100, not 50-50. That is me. That's my take on marriage. Second part of it, it says, a long life partner. I think it's the same thing. People who are long life partners, they are more like they are married, but they are not married. Look at Oprah and Uncle. They are more like people who are married, but they didn't sign anything yet. They're still living happily ever after. You know, most people opt for that, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's as long as you understand each other, you understand what your relationship is built on, then you guys are good to go. And the third part of this question is, what is the most important aspect of a healthy relationship? For people to have a healthy relationship, they need to understand each other's love languages. You need to understand how to love your partner. And your partner as well, they need to understand how to love you. There are those partners that need, like, they enjoy being hugged, touchy, kissing in front of other people in public. But now, if you don't know how to love them, how are you going to love them? So I think communication comes to play when it comes to understanding your partner's love language. I will never know how you need to be loved if we don't communicate. You know, we'll forever clash, like, you know, it will be chaos in our relationship, because I will be loving you in my own way. My own way of defining love might not be the same way as how my partner defines love. So in summary, I will say understanding each other's love language has to do with a healthy relationship. So I hope I covered that. Yeah, somebody will say I'm not married, but I have a view. You know, some things you know them even if you haven't experienced them. You just experience them through other people who share how they feel about marriage, and even by noticing how people handle themselves in marriages. So yeah. So question 12, you'll be turning 40 soon. What's your reflection on the past 4 decades, and what is your future plans for 40? This one as well, there's 2 questions in one. So my reflection for the past 4 decades will be that I acknowledge that I made mistakes in life, lots and lots of mistakes, and I had a chance to correct those mistakes. And also the one thing that I'm proud of is that I defined success for Lerato Selomane the only way she knows how. You know, success can be defined in so many ways. Some people, when they buy a car, they feel that they are successful. Some, when they have a successful business or the business is booming, they will say they are successful. So for me, without even mentioning the things that made me to say I'm successful as a person, I will just say I defined success the only way I know how. So yeah, and for 40 going forward, I know people say life begins at 40, but I tend to differ on that one. My life began a long time ago. The foundation was built a long time ago. Hence I said I made mistakes. I made sure that I correct them. So from 40 going forward, I will continue building on the foundation that I built in my 20s, in my 30s, in my teens. So life goes on. It's not like I'm starting afresh, a new journey, a brand new journey. No. Maybe the foundation is here. I'll continue building the wall and the roof until, I don't know, God decides otherwise about my life. But for now, for as long as I'm living, the foundation I'll continue building on top of that foundation. So question number 13, who is the one person you appreciate but you don't get a chance to appreciate them often? This one will go to my mom. Again, my mom. You know, as I won't say black people, I'll talk about my own household. We hardly tell each other that we love each other, but our actions, they say that we love each other. So I feel like I hardly go out with my mom, maybe for lunch or whatever, but we see each other often at home, but we hardly hug, we hardly, you know, tell each other that we love each other. So I think from now going forward, I should tell her that I love her more. I should appreciate her more. Let it be known that I love her. It should not be like if I'm buying something for her, like it shows that I appreciate her. So I should appreciate her more. Yeah, I think it's my mom. Number 14, who is the one person you miss the most? Obvious, this one, it has to be my dad. Last year on the 24th of December, I lost my dad. My dad was my pillar, so he was everything. No day passes by without me thinking about him. I talk about him often. Even the people that I met recently at work, they know my dad without even knowing him. You know, he was my everything. I miss him a lot. And Dad, if you're listening, I have a YouTube channel now. I know you never saw this coming. You don't even know what a YouTube is. But wherever you are, you can brag to other angels that your daughter has a YouTube channel. And I hope it's going to be successful. So if you are listening, just know that I miss you a lot. I miss you so much. And question number 15, why did you join the army and why did you leave the army? This one, the same reason I joined the army is the same reason why I left the army. I joined the army because I wanted a better future for me and my daughter. And the very same reason I left the army was because I wanted a better future for me and my daughter. Yes, I needed to be in the army for 2 years. I always say the army made me who I am. And the one quote that I lived by when I was in the army was that no condition is permanent. By that I mean, no matter how hard they punish you in the army or the struggles get so severe, they will never punish you in your sleep. So that concept I applied in my day-to-day life and all that you know what, even if you are struggling, there's no way you can struggle on your life. So that is one thing that I took away from the army. Like I'm saying, the same reason I joined the army is the same reason I left the army, for a better future for me and my daughter. Now we're going to the last question, and it's interesting. If you were to have a conversation with the 19 years old Lerato Selomane, what will you say to her? Wow. I will say to her, there's light at the end of the tunnel. This is not the end of the world. You will be the best mother to this child. And this child will turn out fine the way you want her to turn out. And 21 years from now, you will have a bright future for you and your child. And I will tell her that one day you will look back and say, I did it my way. So this is not the end of the world. I will encourage her. It's like I can even see her right now. She felt that period was a bit dark. You know, that was the period whereby she even knew what the word faith means. You know, she ended up naming her daughter Faith, simply because, you know, when you feel like everything is so dark, you know that prayer whereby you even pray that, Lord, please show me the next coming 5 years. Can I have a glimpse of the next 5 years so that I can have the strength to move towards that 5 years? That's how she was feeling. That, you know what, if only I can see the next coming 5 years. Where will I be? Will I succeed? Will I be miserable? What's going to happen to me? You know, those were the questions that were running in her head. And as young as she was, she had absolutely no one to talk to. All that she did was to blame herself, for the things that were happening around her. Little did she know that this was part of God's bigger plan, even though that time everything was so dark. I remember one morning she was listening to the radio and they were preaching about faith. They said faith is believing in something that you cannot see. So for her, that's when she started having faith in God. And she said to herself, Lord, I have faith that all this shall come to pass. Though it took longer for her to see the light, but she held on to her faith in God. Hence, she named her child Faith. And over the years, most people were surprised, why is she trying to do this, do that, do this, do that? And not knowing that she has this journey that she needs to go through and battles that she's fighting within herself. I remember my dad would define her life as a mystery. Like he would say that, I remember when the 19-year-old turned 30, her dad said, your life is more like a movie, a very complicated movie, whereby you don't know where the writers are going with the plot. But towards the end of the movie, that's when you get to see what the writers were trying to tell you or what the writers were trying to teach you. And I asked him, why was he saying that? And he said, you know what, 1 minute you want this, 1 minute you want that. And every little thing that you do, you try to do it to the best of your ability. And you keep me and your mom on our toes, because with you, there's never a day for Lerato is here, then we are boxing her, she will be here for life. I woke up one morning and said, I'm gonna work as a cashier. And my parents were like, what about school? You did maths and science and whatnot. But because of the circumstances that I was in by that time, I needed to work, And just when they thought I'm working as a cashier, I've given up on life, I rocked up one day with a contract saying, I'm joining the army. Something that I never thought of. I don't even remember thinking about the army when I was in matric. But being the person that I was, there was never a therefore, like my dad was saying, So I've done a whole lot of things that most people, they never thought I would do. I'll be in one place for 2 years and say, you know what, I'm content here, but I've always wanted more. So the one thing maybe that drove that is where the 19-year-old comes from. So right now I will tell her that slow down. You don't have to prove yourself anymore to anyone. The child that you have is not a mistake. She's there for a reason. She's there to teach you something. Around that period, I had to mature faster than my peers. So that 19-year-old, I will tell her that you did it your way, and your way benefited you in a good way. Oh, thank you guys for watching this sit down. I had to talk a lot about myself. I think after this, you will know more about me, where I come from. And thank you to those who send their questions. I really appreciate them. I think I've answered them to the best of my ability. So if you still have more questions, we'll do another sit down sometime next year. So for now, let's try to grow the channel. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, comment. See you next time on our next video. My name is Lerato. See you later.